I was standing in the kitchen, halfway through microwaving leftover pizza, when my phone buzzed. Nothing dramatic, no alarm bells, just a text. From Jessica. "Don't bother being home when I get back. I'm done. There's someone else. I'll come for my things later." That was it. No explanation, no emotion, just a digital punch to the gut. I stared at the screen like it might rewrite itself if I waited long enough. My thumb hovered over the screen. No reply came to mind that wouldn't make me look pathetic. After 13 years, that was all I got. I read it again and again. Each time it hit harder. She didn't ask to talk. She didn't say we needed space. She told me, flat out, not to be here. Like I was some squatter she was finally evicting. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I leaned back against the counter, the microwave beeping in the background like it mattered. The kitchen suddenly felt like a stranger's house. Her coffee mug still on the table, her scarf on the chair. It was like she ghosted me while I was still alive. Outside the window, across the street, a wrecking crew was tearing down an old brick office building, steel claws ripping into walls like paper, dust clouds billowing into the air, pieces crashing to the ground one by one. That building used to block my view. Now it was coming down fast, fitting. I didn't cry, not because I was too tough or anything like that. I just felt hollow, like someone flipped a switch. No panic, no begging, just cold. My jaw locked, my pulse slowed. I could feel my whole body shift into something else, something sharper. So, she was gone, already moved on, and she didn't even have the guts to say it to my face. There's someone else, like she just picked up a new brand of toothpaste. I walked into the living room, stood in the middle of the rug we bought together, and looked around like I'd never seen the place before. Everything was ours. Now it felt like props from some fake life she was done pretending to care about. I should have seen this coming. The late nights, the fake smiles, that little hitch in her voice when she said, "I love you," like it was a script. And that message, it didn't read like a decision she just made. No, she'd planned this, probably for months. I looked back out the window. The building was almost gone now, just dust and broken brick. She didn't want me here when she got back? Fine. When she comes home, there won't be a damn thing left for her to come back to. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, phone in hand, scrolling through 13 years of memories like I was looking through someone else's life. Pictures from road trips, birthdays, Sunday mornings with pancakes and coffee. Her smile looked real in some of them. In others, I couldn't tell anymore. There was one from our 10th anniversary in Asheville. She wore that red dress she used to love. I remembered how hard I worked to afford that trip, how she barely looked up from her phone at dinner, said it was something urgent from work. That word, work. It became her favorite excuse. A couple years back, she started staying late, almost every weeknight. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. I was the guy who said, "She's just stressed," every time someone asked if we were okay. She'd come home quiet, not angry, not sad, just gone, emotionally wiped. And she'd always have that phone glued to her hand, like it held her real life in it, and I was just the guy in the background. And I played my part. I stepped back when her career started taking off, gave up a big opportunity in Charlotte just to stay local so she could build her name in corporate. I told myself, that's what good husbands do. Her family ate it up. I could still hear her mom's voice from that dinner a few months ago, leaning over the table, whispering, "You need to be more patient with her. She's under a lot of pressure." Like I was the problem. Like it was my job to wait around and cheer her on while she emotionally checked out. Her sister jumped in too, saying Jessica just needed space and I should listen better. Now I saw it for what it was. They knew. Hell, they probably helped her plan the whole thing. They weren't clueless. They were in on it. All those nights I spent building this life, working overtime, fixing up the house, giving up my own dreams. She was laying bricks on her way out. I put the phone down and just stared at the floor. The more I thought about it, the clearer it got. She didn't just leave, she escaped. Like I was a prison she had to break out of. But I wasn't about to sit around crying over a woman who gave up on me while pretending everything was fine. I opened her laptop. She never logged out of her email. Rookie move. And that's when I found them. Emails between her and Derek Palmer. her boss. A man who sat at my dinner table. A man who shook my hand and called me brother. One message stood out. When the house sells, we'll have everything we need. Just stick to the timeline. I stared at that sentence until the words blurred. She'd been planning to gut our life and start a new one with him. And the house, my house, was part of their plan. I closed the laptop and stood up. I wasn't just some abandoned husband. I was a target. I wasn't shaking anymore. I grabbed my phone off the counter and pulled up Paul's number. Paul Denton. We went back to community college before he turned into the guy people called when things got ugly. He'd helped me with contracts for my small logistics company a couple times. Smart, calm, and mean when he needed to be. He answered on the second ring. "Sam, you good?" "No," I said, "and I need you awake." That snapped him fully on. "Talk." I paced the living room, bare feet on the rug, the house feeling too quiet. Jessica left me, not face to face, a message. She told me not to be home when she gets back. Paul didn't interrupt. He let silence pressure me into saying the rest. "And she's been sleeping with her boss," I added. "Derek Palmer." "That's a problem," Paul said, voice tightening. "Do you have proof?" "I saw emails. It's not subtle. They're talking about timelines and selling the house like it's already done." "All right," he said. "First thing, you don't text her anything emotional. Don't threaten, don't admit anything. Second, I can file, get you protected, and I don't just want a divorce," I cut in. "I want control. I'm not getting cleaned out." Paul exhaled slow. "Okay, then we move smart. We lock down accounts, document everything, and we keep you legally clean." "I can do clean," I said. "I just can't do helpless." "Then listen," he said. "You have that company. Is she on any ownership paperwork?" "No, not officially." "Good. We're going to keep it that way," Paul said. "And we're going to make it harder for anyone to reach into it." That word, harder, hit like oxygen. I sat at the dining table, laptop open, and pulled up bank logins. My hands moved steady now, like my anger had turned into a clear set of instructions. Paul said, "I want you to come to my office first thing. Bring whatever you found, screenshots, emails, dates." "I'll have it," I said. "And Sam," he added, "don't do anything stupid with the house." I looked toward the front window, where the sky was just starting to pale. "I'm going to do something. It just won't be stupid." I hung up and started calling people I hadn't talked to in a while. First was a realtor named Denise I'd used years ago when we bought the place. She picked up sounding half asleep. "Denise, it's Sam," I said. "I need to know how fast I can liquidate property if I have to." She paused. "Fast depends on price and condition. Are you selling?" "I'm gathering options," I said. "I need numbers, timelines, and what I can do without a circus." "I can run comps and connect you with a cash buyer," she said. "You want discreet?" "I want fast," I said. "Discreet is a bonus." Next, I called a guy I knew through work who dealt in equipment and vehicles. Then another contact who knew commercial storage and auctions. I didn't tell them my life was on fire. I just asked questions and took notes like it was a normal Tuesday. After that, I called my boss, Rick. He answered with background noise like he was already at his desk. "Sam," he said, "you okay? You sound tight." "I need a week off," I said. "Starting now?" Rick didn't love surprises. "That's not like you. What's going on?" "Family stuff," I said, "and legal stuff. I've got to clear things up." Rick lowered his voice. "You're not in trouble at work, are you?" "No," I said, "but I'm about to clean up my personal life, and I need the space to do it right." He hesitated, then said, "All right, take the week, just keep me posted." "I will," I said, and ended the call. I went back to Paul's last point, the company. The part Jessica never really understood because she never cared enough to learn. I pulled up the old corporate folder I kept for emergencies and stared at the documents like they were a weapon. Then I made one more call to Paul. When he answered, I said, "I want to expand the protections on the business. The trust is in place, but I want it airtight." Paul didn't miss a beat. "We can reinforce the trust structure, add filings, update the documents, and lock it down so nothing gets through." "Do it," I said. "She doesn't even know it exists." "Then we keep it that way," he said. "Get in here at 8. I stood up, walked to the closet, and grabbed my keys like I was heading into a job interview. Jessica's side was packed tight. Blazers, heels, scarves she hadn't worn in years. Everything color-coded like it mattered. I grabbed a cardboard box from the garage and started pulling things down without hesitation, shirt by shirt, hanger by hanger. Folded everything just enough to not look like I went crazy. I boxed her clothes in silence, just the sound of cardboard flaps folding and hangers clattering on the floor. I didn't bother separating anything, didn't ask myself if she'd want this or that. She said she was done. I believed her now. I moved to the bathroom, makeup, skincare stuff, shelves of overpriced bottles I never understood. I dumped it all into a trash bag and tied it tight. Her presence in the house was like smoke, lingering, pointless. It needed to be cleared out. Jewelry came next, not the costume stuff, the real pieces. I laid them out on the bed, the sapphire necklace I gave her on our 5th anniversary, the diamond earrings from Christmas 2 years ago, a watch she claimed she never wore because it was too flashy for work. I wasn't stupid. I knew what this stuff cost. I knew what I could get for it. I opened my laptop and started a running list. 1 column for donation, 1 for resale. Jewelry, electronics, high-end bags, shoes with tags still on them. She'd built a life of things, and now I was breaking it down into numbers. I called a local women's shelter, told them I had clothes and toiletries to donate. I didn't explain anything. The woman on the phone just said, "We'll take whatever you've got." Perfect. By noon, I had 6 boxes in the truck bed and a plan to drop them off that evening. I stood in the middle of the bedroom, looking at the stripped closet and bare vanity. I felt lighter. That was the word, lighter. She hadn't just moved out emotionally. She'd made me carry the weight while she planned her escape. Not anymore. I picked up my phone and made the next call. Demolition. A company I remembered from a buddy's project 2 years ago. "Yeah, we do full teardowns," the guy said. "Residential too. What's the address?" I gave it to him. Straight voice, no hesitation. "You sure you want to do this?" he asked. "That's a big job." "Yeah," I said. "It's time." We scheduled a site visit for the next morning. That evening, after dropping off the donations, I came home and opened her laptop again. I hadn't checked her drafts folder the first time. I should have. There they were. Emails to Derek she never sent. Or maybe she wrote them and saved them as backup plans. One subject line read, "Title transfer discussion, after sale." Another, "Agreements RE, new location, once escrow closes." They were outlining every step like they were flipping an investment property, talking about offers, closing dates, and how she'd handle me if I got emotional. She even mentioned talking to her dad about how to minimize resistance. My jaw clenched so tight I felt it in my temples. She was going to sell my house out from under me. She just didn't get the chance to hit send. I backed out of the laptop, closed it slowly, and looked around the room. This wasn't a home anymore. It was a structure, a shell, and soon it would be rubble. The next morning, the demolition crew showed up to start the prep, gutting interior walls, pulling fixtures, stripping out drywall and wires like veins from a body. I stood on the front lawn, arms crossed, watching the place get picked apart. Piece by piece, our life came undone. It should have felt like revenge, but it didn't. It felt like the first honest thing I'd done in years. I parked down the block and sat in my truck, watching the demolition crew tear apart what was left of the inside. The windows were gone. The front door leaned against a pile of drywall. All that was left of our kitchen was exposed beams and wires hanging like veins. I should have felt proud. Instead, there was this slow, dull ache starting to creep up the back of my neck. Like maybe, just maybe, I'd pushed too far, burned too much. But that feeling didn't last long. Not when I remembered the emails. Not when I pictured Jessica sitting with Derek, mapping out how to screw me over while smiling in my face. Not when I thought about her family, nodding along like they had some moral high ground. Let them come back. Let them see what they walked away from. My phone buzzed in the center console. Paul. "You're not gonna like this," he said, without even saying hello. "We found more." "More what?" I asked, already bracing. "She tried to file a change with your business registration last month, forged signature, claimed she was a partial owner." I didn't say anything. My hand just tightened around the steering wheel. Luckily, he continued, your documents were already locked in with the trust. State kicked the changes back for missing verification. So she tried to rob me, and she failed, I said. Yeah, Paul replied. But it tells us one thing. This wasn't emotional. It was calculated. She thought she had you cornered. She's gonna lose everything, I said flatly. I've got everything prepped. Divorce petition's ready. Asset protection is solid. But heads up, her family already got a lawyer. Of course they did, I muttered. They're arguing she's entitled to half the house. I laughed. Actually laughed. They ever swing a hammer in that place? They ever write a check? Nope, Paul said. But they're playing the long marriage card. Her mom's already quoted some sacrifices she made by helping raise you guys up. She didn't raise anything but her wine glass, I snapped. None of them paid for a damn thing. We'll crush that argument. Just be ready. It's going to get loud. I want the house gone before they show up, I said. I want them looking at dirt. We'll stay ahead of them, Paul promised. You've done everything right so far. I ended the call and stared at the lot. Half the roof was gone now. The master bedroom, our bedroom, was nothing but framing. My phone buzzed again. New number. It was her brother. The message read, You're being insane. Mom wants to talk. Don't make this worse than it already is. I didn't reply. I moved the rest of my money into a new account that afternoon, closed the joint ones, changed every password, updated the emergency contacts at work, called the storage unit company, lined up the last steps of the demolition timeline with a project manager I trusted. Everything was clean, locked, tied down. But that voice in the back of my head, the one that used to say calm down, or maybe she didn't mean it, was gone now, replaced by something colder, sharper. Still, part of me looked at the house and wondered if I'd crossed a line I couldn't come back from. This wasn't just about Jessica anymore. Her family would never see me the same. My parents would hear about it eventually. Some friends would probably ghost me after this. But she wanted war. She got it. Now we both had to live with the fallout. I saw their car before I heard it. Silver Lexus, clean, expensive, pulling up slow like they were unsure of the address. Jessica was in the passenger seat. Her mom drove. Her dad was crammed in the back with her sister. A whole welcoming committee. They turned onto the lot and stopped cold. Where our house used to be was now just a flattened pile of timber, stone, and dirt. The driveway ended in nothing. Not even the mailbox was left. I sat across the street in my truck, engine running, AC low. Window cracked just enough to hear the yelling start. Jessica jumped out first, eyes wide, phone in hand. She spun around like the house might be hiding behind a bush. Her voice tore across the street. Where the hell is my house? I didn't move yet. Just watched as her dad stepped out next, silent, pale, mouth hanging open like he'd forgotten how to speak. Her mom started shaking her head, whispering something to nobody. Her sister stayed in the car. Jessica spun again, saw my truck, and locked eyes with me. I stepped out, closed the door behind me, and walked across the street like I was taking out the trash. Calm, no rush. She stormed toward me. What did you do, Sam? Her voice cracked. She looked more shocked than angry, like she still thought she had the upper hand. I did exactly what I'm allowed to do, I said, on a property I paid for, alone. Her dad found his voice. You demolished the house? Correct. I pulled the folder from under my arm, flipped it open. You remember this? I held up the postnup we signed 6 years ago. Paul had it notarized, sealed, and filed. Jessica stared at it like she was trying to make the words rearrange themselves. You agreed in writing the house was mine, I said. It's black and white. You don't get to decide what happens to something you don't own. Jessica's mom finally spoke. This isn't how people handle things, Sam. You're being cruel. No, I said. Cruel is plotting to sell a house out from under someone while you're screwing your boss behind their back. Jessica froze. I let that sentence hang in the air like smoke. Her dad blinked. Her sister's head turned from inside the car. I looked straight at Jessica. I found the emails, the ones you never sent, the drafts about escrow, relocation, keeping me emotionally stable while you stole from me. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I stepped closer. And your little attempt to change my business registration? Yeah, the state kicked it back. Paul has everything logged and time-stamped. Her voice finally broke through. You went through my email? You left it open. I read what was mine to know. Her eyes darted to her dad, then her mom. This is insane. You destroyed everything. I nodded toward the rubble. That was already destroyed. You just didn't have the guts to admit it. Her dad looked down, hands in his pockets, shaking his head. Jessica pointed at the empty lot like it was some kind of crime scene. You think this makes you look strong? You look crazy. I smiled. Crazy doesn't file for divorce with full asset protection and a court date. Strong does. She blinked hard, lips twitching. You already filed? 3 days ago, I said. Hearing's in 2 weeks. You'll be served tomorrow. Her mom gasped. Her sister finally stepped out of the car, eyes darting between all of us. No more surprises, I said. No more money, no more property. You burned the bridge. I just finished the job. Jessica didn't cry. She didn't yell again. She just stood there, surrounded by dust and silence, like she'd finally seen the whole picture. I turned and walked back to my truck. Behind me, no one followed. I didn't need to look back. I'd already seen what I came for. The final load of debris was hauled off that afternoon. Just like that, the last physical piece of my old life was gone. No roof, no walls, no hours. I stood on the edge of the lot with my hands in my pockets, watching the dust settle over bare dirt. The air still smelled like sawdust and old insulation. The wind kicked up a piece of yellow caution tape and sent it tumbling across the foundation like it was running for its life. Across the street, Jessica and her family lingered near their car, still in disbelief, still waiting for something, an apology, an explanation, maybe even a breakdown. But they weren't going to get any of that from me. I gave them one last look. Her mom stared at the empty lot like it had personally attacked her. Her dad kept glancing my way, like he wanted to say something but didn't have the nerve. Jessica didn't look angry anymore, just gutted. They all looked like they'd lost something they thought they owned, and I realized none of them ever really knew me, not the way they pretended to, not the way I used to hope they did. I'd been easy to ignore when I was the quiet guy who worked hard and didn't complain. But the second I started fighting back, I became a stranger. Good. I turned my back on them and stepped onto the dirt. No furniture, no memories, no trace of her. That house held too many ghosts anyway. I wasn't walking away from a home. I was walking away from a lie. Every sacrifice I made, every promise I kept, every time I bit my tongue while she twisted the knife, that was all buried now. I didn't need revenge. That part was already done. What I had now was better. Freedom. No more pretending. No more fighting for people who were always planning their exit. This wasn't about rebuilding what we had. It was about starting something new, without carrying her mistakes, or mine, into it. She thought she'd left me behind. Truth is, I was the one who walked away. And this time, I wasn't looking back.